Hey everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co-host Matt. Hey Matt.
Hey, Kat. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Well, it's the big Super Bowl day.
It is, yes. Do you have a bet on the game or anything?
No bet on it, but I was an Eagle, Boston Eagle for my elementary, and
Hmm.
so I just kind of want to go with that.
Going with the Eagles, huh?
I mean, I think it would be the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Pennsylvania, so I almost have to as well.
Yes. But now, in college, we were Indians. And so, in a way, if you look at that and Chiefs, that's
Yeah.
kind of, but, I'm going to stick with it's your foundation, your roots. And so I'm just going to stick with the Eagles.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
All right. I did. Okay. So I said I didn't make any bets, and that part is true. But I'm in, I did like, I'm in this pool of thing where you had to pick a number. They just said pick a number between 1 and 100. Like
Right.
I played bingo, and so this group, and they're just like, okay, pick a number between 1 and 100. So I picked 64, and I don't completely understand what it's about, but it's something to do with like that ending up being the score, the totals of the quarters. Is that what they play?
Yeah,
Quarters.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking it's probably not going to be 64 or that high, but
I mean, it could be one of the playoff games. I think I don't remember who it was or whatever, but the winning team had 55 and the other team had 20 something. So, I mean,
oh wow. Well, there is hope then. I was thinking like it's going to be like 7-0 or
I
something.
mean, it could very well be, but if you're looking at the end score, as like if the two, the two numbers add up to 64 or whatever, then you could win. I mean, it could possibly be that.
Well, come on, whoever wins. So I'm just going to go with that. 64. Let's just do that. And
There
we're
you go.
going to see how my loyalty is.
Yeah, yeah.
I still hope the Eagles are slightly, ahead in that
What is
total.
what is the prize for guessing this number?
Well, nobody clarified that. So
Oh,
it could be typically the prizes are like a $50 gift card or something like that.
oh, nice. To another restaurant you don't go to?
Well, you know, I would probably go to Applebee's, except for, they had this, what's it called? When a flash sale kind of, I guess is what
Right.
it's called. So you
On
could get,
Amazon, right?
yes, on Amazon.
Okay.
And it was just, yes, yesterday or the day before, I guess. I don't know. It was recently.
Right.
And anyways, you could get $50 Amazon, a $50 Applebee's. It sounds like I've already been somewhere and had something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sitting at
anyways,
the bar in Applebee's.
yeah, it seems like I have. So $50 for $40. So $50 gift card. So today, my Amazon gift card arrived, the
Right.
package arrived through Amazon and it was empty completely.
Awesome.
So, yes. So, no gift card for $40 is not a bargain.
No, no. I mean,
No.
you're gonna have to talk to your Amazon driver. I mean, he's probably sitting at the bar at Applebee's.
Well, no doubt he's going to be watching the Super Bowl party and
Yeah.
on my gift card.
Yeah.
He or she, I mean, whoever.
Right.
So, that was that story. But I had another interesting little story today
Okay.
that I'm going to be, it's going to be the Valentine's in our group and backstories on Facebook.
Okay.
You'll be able to see it's a new documentary coming out. And I'm just gonna like do a little spotlight about it on Valentine's Day because that's its release date.
Okay.
And the title is My Husband the Cyborg.
Okay. It sounds
Or my
like
husband is a cyborg, one or the other. Anyways, that really doesn't matter. When I saw that title and heard about it, I was thinking, this is fiction,
right.
but it's a documentary. So, this lady's husband told her he wants to get an implant chip, and she decided she'd never made a documentary before, never anything. So she gets her cell phone out, which I could relate to that. I film everything.
Right.
But she's made a documentary.
So
And,
what does this chip do?
well, this particular cyborg chip does not turn him into the Terminator. So it's not extreme cyborg,
Okay.
but it allows him to always know where north is.
Okay.
Well, you would not get lost. Well, if you got lost, you could, find
Yeah.
your way north.
Right.
But I mean, it seems it's also illegal, and he is not a medical doctor or any medical background.
Hmm.
So they went to a tattoo artist to implant this.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. So
Uh,
are they in the U.S. or where are?
so I'm not clear. They are not in the U.S. So I do know that part. Although she has been to Pennsylvania,
Oh,
not to Kentucky, but she has been to Pennsylvania.
okay.
She's also worked for MTV, like, so, they both, he's like from a music background. I
Hmm.
mean, they're both like very interesting, in touch with, the
Hmm.
surroundings and that kind of thing and music and whatever. But
Okay.
this is implanted into his chest. And she was worried, of course, about him getting infections
Sure.
and things like that. Like you don't know if you're not a doctor and there's been no like test or any of this done.
Yeah. So I mean, where did they get this chip from?
So him and a friend made it.
Okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
And they had to go through like a lot of versions, and now they're making an upgraded one. I don't know if that lets you see the whole, I don't really know what it does, but
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to watch this documentary just to. I mean, I have so many questions.
yes, yes. So that's the thing is I think everybody should watch this. They are releasing it on Valentine's Day because she says at the heart of it, it's her love, their love for each other, and like, how if your significant other tells you they want to be a cyborg in some way,
Yeah.
are you going to support that, or are you going to think you need help, or
I
I
know
mean,
what
really,
I know what my first thought would be.
what, yeah, what would it be?
You definitely need help. Well,
Well,
I mean, I guess it's not too far off though. You know, Elon Musk has the Neuralink thing that he's working on, and I believe that's already been implanted in someone's brain.
but I would bet that he like used scientists and
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not like
medical
yeah,
people,
yeah.
I mean, this would be just like me or you who have no, well, I mean, I don't think you have any medical training.
Very little.
I mean, you could design it, certainly.
I could certainly draw it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'd be like you drawing it and me just saying, okay, well,
Yeah.
I think if you do this, we can make it out of this. That would look cool. And
Mm,
then we could go to Tamra, who we've had on the show before, and
right.
she's
Yeah.
a tattoo artist, and be like,
Yeah.
Matt wants this implanted. so he can like find his way north.
Right. And then she will say, "You need help."
She'll be like, I got these tattoos. Well, why don't you get a
Yeah.
tattoo?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she did like mention about people getting like ashes, of their dead relatives or whatever in their tattoo, like mixed in.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are some like, hmm,
Not quite the
like,
same, but
well, I mean, yes, it will not, as far as I know, guide you in any direction if you do that.
right.
So, I mean, it's just, it's off the beaten path a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still interested in seeing how it was all done and, whatever, because, I mean,
Oh, it piques the curiosity, and I think the title, sucks you right into when you find out it's not fiction.
yeah,
So, yes, and so if you don't have any, Valentine's movie plans, you know, this documentary could be something. If nothing else, I think it would be a great discussion piece for couples because, it you could just insert whatever,
right,
like, well, maybe it's not your problem is not like this cyborg, but maybe you're having some other issue.
right.
So, you know, it does like it would start a discussion. So if you're having trouble like putting your feelings into words, just like rent this movie and you can talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So our guest this week is,
Oh my goodness. Now, this is a love story. This is one you should do on Valentine's. Like, play some of the music. She has a book out.
hmm
Nancy Jones, who is the widow of George Jones, the possum.
yeah,
And, she tells, like, in her book, she outlines, like, what it was like, how they met and their life together. And they both seem to have, like, a really great sense of humor, and, I just can't wait to hear, like, after seeing the book, I can't wait to, just hear the the stories that she has to tell,
yeah.
and
She did send us copies of her book.
she did, and this lets me know that she does have a sense of humor because, the timing of the interview could not be worked out with your schedule.
Right.
So I ended up getting to be the one to talk with her. And she said she was gonna send books and she did. And she autographed them and wrote a little inscription. And mine was very sweet and yours was so funny. I thought it was like no show match.
Right. Yeah. It was sweet of her to send the book and
Yeah.
to
So
autograph it. So really appreciate that.
yes, it was wonderful of her. And I mean that you'll just like never forget it. And I think, I'll never forget it either. But people are really going, I believe, to just love the the honesty. Like, it just comes across like the relationship. It just seems very authentic the way she describes it, and you could tell like how much that she loves him and
hmm
did love him. So this one definitely I would put some. She will tell what is the favorite song of George that was her favorite, and so I would suggest putting that song on and listening to that on Valentine's for sure.
Weren't we just talking to someone about George Jones?
Yes, yes, we were. Actually, our next week's guest we were talking to.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So
Yeah,
Trey Calloway, he's going to be on next week.
yes.
Yeah,
So, but it's hard not to have a discussion, about George if you're talking about country music because he had so many songs and
yeah,
so many
yeah, for sure.
hits. And, just I saw like a duet with him and Randy Travis, and I mean, he was a duet partner with like a lot of people over time, and
Yeah, yeah, I sort of remember that. I know your father was a country music fan, was he not?
yes, he was, and he liked George and Tammy,
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Conway and Loretta,
Right.
a lot of that. But I don't know if I have a favorite, but he did have a unique voice,
Yeah.
and I he had an interesting life, and a lot of times he didn't, maybe show up
Yeah.
on
Yeah, I know
on
there's
time, and or period, and she talks about that, and it's just a really like heartfelt, interesting. She's just great, and I can't wait for everyone to meet her through our interview, and also check out her book.
all right. And we're gonna post up the link for the cyborg story. And
Yes, on Valentine's we
yep,
will.
that'll be next week you'll see that. We just wanted to mention it today. And
Yeah, we don't want people to miss it, because we won't be back until Valentine's is 2 days over. So,
oh yeah, that's true. Valentine's is next Friday. So
yeah. So we gotta do our part and make sure that everybody gets the chance to, hear about the cyborg man.
all right. Well, let's talk to Nancy.
Nancy, I want to welcome you to Backstory Sessions. It is an honor to have you as our guest today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That makes me feel good.
Well, it makes me feel good that you're going to tell us. This is amazing when I think about it. So this week, George Jones, the Lost Nashville Sessions, is going to release Tender Years. Is that correct?
Yes, it's so funny because each interview I do, somebody has picked the song that they like the best. You like Tender Years.
It is very lovely. I do like that. And I guess so. My first question, as I was thinking about this project, are these songs that, like, how did you go about choosing the songs that would be?
Well, really and honestly, after George died, Dwayne's son-in-law with the Oak Ridge Boys, his name is Paul Martin. So Paul called me and said, "Hey, we've got these old radio shows of George, and we would like to update them and get them out." Well, in 2013, I was not really ready to do a lot of talking. So I just said, yes, that would be great. Just let me know. I never thought anything else about it until now. They've come back and said, will you help us get this album out? I'm like, sure, I will. I mean, I'm fine now. So that's why I'm so excited is that I like to keep George's name out there. I like to let people know that this man was country music. I mean, he loved it. So that's why I'm excited about the 16 songs on here. And what it is, I'm sure that they have told you it's an old radio shows that they used to do. And then they would promote their album. And then the radio would take them and, put them out to help promote it. Well, it's different because he's not in the studio. He's not stopping. He's not, okay, let me rest a minute and try to let the band do something, the session pickers. But on this, he's straightforward, just singing his little heart out and excited as I am to hear him sing the way he was singing because he was so relaxed with being in the studio for radio, not for recording.
Well, that is very fascinating. And how did it feel for you the first time that you heard one of them remastered?
Well, the first time I was like, okay, can I really listen to this? Because I don't listen to his music anymore. It's too sad. But
Sure.
then I did. And to see that the audio is up to par with quality of what's going on today. So that I just think it's the best album ever, and I can't stop listening to it.
Aw. What do you think George would have thought about it?
Oh, he would have loved it. He would have loved it because there's nothing but good country, 16 great country songs on there. Nothing else but just getting that country music back out there.
So, in the time that he was recording, I guess production has changed quite a bit. So, the sound, how, before the listeners, actually get to listen, how do you describe the difference in like what it sounded like then and what it sounds like now?
Well, I didn't want to take away too much of it. It's what I told him, you got to make it sound like George, but they had to bring it up to the audio quality of what's going on today. And they did, but they didn't overdo it. I mean, it's so crisp and so great that I think the fans are going to love it. And it's
Oh,
just something that, they did that for radio. And once radio got through with promoting whatever song they were promoting, well, they threw those in the trash can. So somebody got them back out of there. And this is how that this has come about.
oh
And they
my
were pretty,
goodness.
they were pretty
Thrown
banged up,
away?
because it was a reel to reel tape.
Yeah.
So they had to really work hard to get that back and the volume and the way it was. And that's why that it was wonderful to have a great producer to do this.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine like, having something like that thrown away and then someone to, find it and then go through all of that to make what we're going to hear, you know, today in today's music. That's an amazing backstory of its own.
I know, and I'm so proud of Paul Martin. He did such a wonderful job. And I I can't express how happy I am that this album with 16 songs is gonna be out. And my favorite is Walk Through This World with Me. I love it.
So was that always your favorite George song?
It was both of ours, because that's what he used to tell me when he was, like, messed up or drunk or whatever. He'd say, "Honey, walk through this world with me. Just walk it, and you'll see that I'm gonna change and things are gonna get better." So, yep, I walked through that world, and it did get better.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your backstory with George. Now, how did you meet? And, did you like him right off or how did it work?
He was a perfect gentleman, but I can tell you that if somebody's really interested and would like to, I have a book out and you can get it on Amazon. It's called Playing Possum, My Memories of George Jones. So it explains a lot in there. I did not sugarcoat anything. I told it like it was, and I felt like that it was time to get something out like that. And I did. And I had got COVID and I had died, really died. And God brought me back. And I think he brought me back to do this book because I had lost all my hair, had to learn how to walk again. I got down to 90 pounds. I've lost 75% of my right lung, but God's good. I'm not up here wearing a oxygen in my nose. And that's one thing I was hoping and praying I would never have to do. But if somebody would order this book, you can see and hear my life with George. And like I said, I didn't sugarcoat it. I told the truth, but I also tell that I had the good Lord Jesus right there with me during the whole thing.
So, when did you get COVID? And then
And
when did you write the book?
3 years ago, I got COVID, and I wrote the book 2 years ago.
Wow.
I released it on September the 12th on his birthday, and it's done really good, more than I thought I would be beat up by saying, that fans will say, "She shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't have said that." But not one negative thing came back. And I talk about God so much in there because I talk about how he saved my life, how he gave me the strength to get the demons out of George. And I guess I should have called it what George called his book one time. I live to tell it all.
Well, I think that when I read something and it seems authentic, life is not always going to be like smooth and happy and all of those things. So when I read something that, I feel like is telling the honesty of how life is, I'm much more drawn to those kinds of books. And so I find it interesting, the way that you said you have gotten positive feedback. I can see that, from just being honest about how everything was.
Well, Kat, I have to tell you, talking about being honest, that's one thing George was always honest to his fans. Because one time he missed a show, I'm like, oh my God, here we go. I said, don't go on that stage and tell them that you were drunk, George. I mean it.
Yeah.
I'm not. He gets on the stage and puts me under the bus. He said, my wife told me to tell y'all that I was sick, but I was really drunk. I'm like, you bugger, you shouldn't have said that. He was just always an honest person.
Yeah. Wow. That's funny. Was he humorous? Like, when he was off stage, like, what are some of the qualities about him that you know?
He was very funny off stage. He would say some of the craziest things, and we'd all be rolling laughing, me and my kids and everything. And he's like, "What are y'all laughing at?" But I will tell you one thing that's in the book. I don't know. Do you have the book?
I don't have it, but I will
Well,
definitely be getting it and reading it.
well, I will get your address and I will send you one. How's that?
Oh my goodness. Thank
Yes,
you.
I will get you one. One time, this is in the book, and you're going to crack up laughing. My daughter, the youngest one, could not have any children. So we paid, me and George, for her to do artificial insemination. So, but it's her and her husband. So he was doing an interview one day, and I was listening. I didn't want to go in there and bother him, but I was could hear what he was saying. And he told the guy doing the interview, he said, George, how many grandkids you got? He started naming how many grandkids does Nancy have? He was naming it. He said, well, she's got a daughter that can't have kids, so they have this child they got from incest.
Oh no.
I go running in there and said, oh my God, you can't say that. Do you know what incest is, George? I told that guy, don't print that. Don't print that. He said, I'm not. I said, what's incest, George? Well, I don't know. I guess that's what Sherry and Kurt did to get this baby. I said, that is when you have sex with your brother or your father. He said, oh, no, no, no. She didn't do nothing like that. That's some of the funniest things that he does. I mean, there's some more funny things in there that I do too, but I was really happy that, I was there so that that guy didn't print that. I mean, he was from New York. I would have died if he'd have printed that.
I imagine there might have been a few people, kind of shocked that
Oh,
were
yeah, really?
So you did you always like his music?
Well, Kat, be honest with you. I didn't even know his music.
Wow.
So I was always into Creedence Clearwater. That was mine. I mean, I would turn that sucker up full blast, not sleeping house in 10 minutes. And that was what I was accustomed to was Creedence Clearwater, that kind of music.
Right.
But when I first heard him, I'm like, oh my God, how is this guy bending these notes and doing this? And he's not even opening his mouth. So I got hooked. I mean, I've heard a lot of people sing, but I've never heard nobody sing like that.
Yeah. Well, did it ever get old? Uh,
No, 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 his singing never got old for me.
And that's, amazing too. Speaks a lot that you could hear this, a lot of the same music or from the same person and just always still love it as much as ever. And now, you get to hear it, in this updated version, I guess, but still true to him. So that's like icing on the cake, I imagine.
Well, I think that once the fans hear this, a lot of them are going to say, "Well, I've heard that song before." You never heard that song sung the way George is singing it this way because he was singing it from his heart.
And well, what do the kids think of it now that,
Oh, love it. Love it.
yeah, I would, oh, I mean, I'm so excited because how often, I mean, it's so rare that a lot of us have recordings of our parents or grandparents that we can listen to, but like you were saying, like on reel to reel or home recordings, that people made. So they
Right.
have those little, like even records, and I love to listen to record albums, but it's got that little sound to it, that you can hear as it's spinning around. And so to like have it updated technically, but still, be so true to the time period that it was recorded, that is just amazing what technology can do now.
Right. And I'm very excited because they're going to bring a vinyl out with it. So I love vinyl.
Wow, that is great. So is there a photo, like a cover uh, for the vinyl? I'd be curious to
Oh,
see.
do you have the CD?
I do not. Wow.
So the vinyl will be the same way.
So that would be just like looking at him at the time that he was singing it.
Right. Right.
Wow.
I think you're going to love it. It's just something that I'm excited about. And I know it's in Walmart right now. So that for the 15th, it will be. I can't stress how great it is because it is.
So what was it about music for George? Like, did he grow up just, always being a fan of music or singing or, what's the backstory for him?
And I got to get you a book.
I know. I'm telling you. My dad
Yes,
played
his
the
mother.
music all the time. I grew up hearing the music, but not the stories.
Well, it's in my book too, but I'll also tell you that he grew up, his mother played the organ in church. They were Pentecostal, and he would sing in church. And then he's never had a lesson at all, ever in his life. It was just a God gift, gave him that voice, and man, did he give him a voice. And he just would start playing the guitar and playing in Beaumont, Texas, and he'd play out in the streets. Anywhere he could play, he would play, and loved it. His favorite was Hank Williams and Lefty Frizzell.
Well, Tess will be glad to
And
hear
Roy
that.
Acuff. Now he loved Roy Acuff, but when he first started recording, he tried to sound like Lefty. He tried to sound like Roy. And so the producer said, "How about if we just sound like George Jones?" He said, "Oh, I can do that." So there you go.
And it took right off.
Uh-huh.
And so do fans like are there certain rituals or dates, that fans reach out to you like on his birthday or something like that? Do people still write to you
Yes,
or yeah.
they do, and I love it because you know, George loved his fans,
Yeah.
loved them. He used to tell me I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for the fans. And I do reach out to some, and some of them reach to me, but I don't like get on Facebook or nothing because, you know, behind doing this, they get kind of ugly sometimes.
Sure. And social media, wasn't a part of helping to make his career. So now I see that a lot of artists are using social media. That's kind of the way they get their music out there. What do you think has been the biggest change that you've seen in music?
The biggest change I see is it's not country music.
Yeah.
And I love Jamie Johnson. I think he's still country. And Jelly Roll, I have to say, I do like him. I met him. He has a heart as big as Texas.
Aw,
And but he's great. I don't know how I would love to know how George would feel about Jelly Roll.
yeah. That
But
that would be interesting if we could know that.
wouldn't that though? But Jelly Roll's just so sweet. I say all the time I want to have a meeting with him, so I quit using the F word. But he ain't gonna do that. I mean, my kids are so funny. They say, "Mama, that's the way they talk nowadays." I said, "Not for me. I'm not talking that way."
Right.
So, but he expresses himself that way. He has a crowd. Kids love him. Everybody loves Jelly Roll, and everybody loves Jamie Johnson. I think he is just amazing. He has come a long way.
So, do they remind you of George in the way that they're authentic, maybe? Or,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
interesting. So, was there a song that you would have been okay if he would have stopped singing? Of all of his songs, was there one that you were like, okay, I love all of the others, but I'm okay if we didn't hear this one again?
You know, I don't think there's any at all.
Okay.
None at all. I loved when him and Tammy were together. I loved their music together. My God, could they not sing wonderful together? But
Yeah.
with George, I never, he's got so many songs out there that I don't even know how to count how many he's got. But I don't get tired. No, I love it.
So so when he passed away, there was a period you said that you couldn't listen for a while. And then, COVID, that was a very terrible time, for everyone really. But for you, it seems like even though it took your life, in that sense, but you were brought back, now you have a new purpose, I guess, like, or a new
Yeah.
idea like you had never thought about, maybe.
Well, when you're in the hospital, like I was in rehab for 3 months. Your mind gets to thinking, okay, I can do this and I can do that. God help me. I'd love to save a lot of people's lives. And I I would love to just preach. I mean, and tell everybody, that this world's so crazy right now,
Right.
but God has not changed at all. And I would like to bring more people into Jesus Christ. That's exactly what I want to accomplish.
And so that is your renewed goal.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, what things do you have going on? You've got your book out. You've got this project that were an integral part of in the ministry. Do you have any types of books or anything that you're working on for that?
No, but I would love to do that. And also, I speak at a few churches and I feel it. I feel people really listening and I can feel them in my heart. I know that that's what I want to do.
Wow. And George, do you think he would be surprised by all the things that have happened since he passed away?
Yeah, I think he would be very proud of me. Yes, I do think that.
Yeah. Well, do you sense, I know sometimes people, they have a sense that the person's still with them in some way. Like, is the music like that for you? Does it make it feel like he's still here?
Yes. And
Uh,
especially if I go to the graveside, I just sit there on the bench out there, and you can like feel. You can, if you've ever had a loved one to pass, you can feel it. That's why that I like to go to the gravesite when it's quiet and nobody's out there, just sitting. Oh,
well, my birthday was this past Sunday, and both my parents have passed away. And, my dad was always the first one to call and say happy birthday to me. Like, my whole life, really, that was his thing. And so one day, because he would call really early, one birthday, I didn't answer the phone immediately. So he left it in a voicemail. And I was like, well, that's, really cool. So I called back and I was like, okay, mom, I want you to call and leave me a voicemail too, because, daddy already has. So, now that they passed away, every year I know that, on my Facebook memories, I'm going to
oh,
have them saying, happy birthday to me. And so for that moment, it seems like they're still with me. So I can imagine like having music, and the person singing like you had him sing so many times to you. How amazing that must be.
well, I'm glad that you had that recorded, and God took care of you on that. You
I
didn't
could,
pick up when your dad. You didn't pick up when your dad called, so that was it. And then your little mind said, "I think I want my mother on here now." So you got that, and that's a God calling. Is what you got.
well, I feel like that. I really do. Because, those are the things that matter in life. And there's nothing, that was more important to me than my parents and that birthday wish, not gifts, like all the other things of birthdays. It's just like, the people that brought you into the world and shaped you, and, that I just feel like they're still with me in that way. So,
Oh, that's so
it's,
precious.
so I
I
hope,
love it.
I always try to tell people, like ask that, do the same thing in some way, like the things that you would want to have them to record it so you've got that. Because, there's a million questions I wish I would have asked my parents that I'll never, know the answers to now. But people that still have them alive, it's a great thing to do. So recordings are magical, really. So that's why, when I heard about this project, I was thinking like, this is just so amazing that you capture these memories and moments in time, and now you can bring them to so many, other people that maybe weren't even alive at the time they were recorded.
That's true. That's true. And this will probably introduce a lot of people to country music.
Yeah, and what a neat thing that is. I know George would be proud of that, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
The man loved, eat, breathes country music. I mean, I've never seen anybody that loved country music as much as George Jones.
Well, so to the listeners, because I know our time is about up, but it's been so fascinating to talk with you. What do you hope as people get ready to listen on the 15th? You know, what do you hope they take away from George and his music?
I think that on the 15th, if people would call in and talk to you, they're going to say, "Oh my God, this was absolutely wonderful. This is what we need." Because it's like I said, the world's in a mess right now. And this will give people a smile. And I just feel so good about it. I can't explain how good it is in my heart for this.
Is there going to be any type of listening party or anything like that with family or friends?
I know that Jeremy's working on something, so that I'm pretty sure it will be.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on and, just being the guest today and telling us about this amazing project. And also about you. I'm sure that you were a huge support to George's music and to him. So it's just an honor to get to know you as well.
Thank you so much. And you want to give me your address? I'll ship you out a book.
All right, sure. I'll go ahead and stop this.